everyone, it's Maria here from Pepperly Rose Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Sydney, Australia. I want to thank you all for joining me. Today I'm going to be featuring a card with the prized Peony stamp set, the brick and mortar 3D embossing folder. I'm going to be using the layering circles dies, and I'm also using the Pinewood Planks 3D embossing folder. This is a card that's inspired by Pinterest. I was looking at peony bouquets and I found a really lovely picture with some peonies and inside a glass vase. So I thought a round glass vase. So this is quite inspiring to me. So this is the card we're going to be making today. As I'm speaking to you now, I forgot an item that I need to get. So bear with me and I will be back shortly. We're going to be using a old olive Stampin' Up marker as well. And this is because I'm going to actually draw something by hand, but it's not difficult. Anyone can do this. So we'll get started on this card. It will be a fiddly card, I'm telling you from now, and it will take a little bit of time, but I think that the results will be worth it as far as I'm concerned. So we'll get started on this project. First off, I'm using thick Whisper White cardstock. I love using this as a card base. So it's half an A4 and I scored it in half again, which makes an A6 card base. So I'll just use my bone folder and burnish that score line. Then I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock, regular piece Whisper White cardstock, which is half an inch shorter than the card base. And then I've got a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. To begin with, we're going to do some stamping. So I'm going to grab the Stamparatus. I always use this because I just find it easier to stamp with it. I also suffer from carpal tunnel syndrome, and for me, using the blocks and holding them can make my hands go a bit numb. So I find using this is much better for me. So we're going to just stamp just the big flower. That's what I'm concentrating on using, and I'm going to do this from the bottom, I think. That way I use less cardstock. So just do this for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to concentrate on the flower. So I'm just going to do that so I know how much cardstock to use. Oops. Pop that in there. We're going to stamp this about 2-3 times, and the colours we're using today will be Balmy Blue, Smoky Slate, Flirty Flamingo and Purple Posy. And I know that this colour ink pad is not available for purchase, so if you happen to have it, use it. If you don't, use Highland Heather and stamp off a couple of times and you'll have a similar effect to Purple Posy. So that's my workaround for you for that if you don't have that stamp pad. So I'm actually going to start with the Purple Posy. For a while because they're quite inky. Now with the front panel here, I would like to do some alcohol ink smooshing. Now this technique is something that I sort of came up with. Basically, I wanted the Stampin' Up inks that are water-based to act like alcohol inks. So the way to achieve that is we just pop down some ink using our ink pad. So that's the Flirty Flamingo there, and I'm just using a piece of laminated paper. And then I've got my Balmy Blue. Actually, I don't want Flirty Flamingo. No, I don't. I wanted Balmy Blue and Purple Posy, so I'll just do that. And then I'll use my purple posy. And I'll stamp them a bit close together, like that. And then I'm going to spritz them with some alcohol ink. So what I'll do is I'll get my craft mat as well, just to keep my area there clean. Just use whatever you've got to keep your area clean. You can use paper, whatever you wish. Sky's the limit. Okay, so I've got my craft mat there. And I'm going to spritz with some alcohol. So I've got I've got my spritzer, and inside I've got some rubbing alcohol in it. So I'm just going to spritz over the top of this. And what I love about this technique is that the water-based ink acts like alcohol ink once you add the alcohol in it, the rubbing alcohol in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make the colours go over the top of each other. Now the beauty of alcohol ink is that light colours can go over dark colours, and that makes the technique really, really cool in my opinion. So if this is something you like doing, then I suggest this technique big time. Like, it's just so much fun. So as you can see here, the the balmy blue went over the purple posy, which is quite a dark colour. So we'll just smush it around a little bit, and as you can see, the colours kind of stay separate too, which makes it really, really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Whisper white piece of cardstock, and I'm going to just try and do some ink blending, some of that just here, along here if I can. So I'm just going to just do it like, I'll do it this way actually. I like the way this looks better, this side here. So I'm just going to try not to touch the corners, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to do that. And if you can see that, it looks absolutely beautiful. I love that. So I'm going to try and do a little bit more. So just a bit more on the blue there. And it's curving up. So it gives a nice effect. And then I'll just add some more purple posy. And a little bit more. And then I think that looks pretty cool. I've just wanted something a little unusual. And I just love the way the alcohol kind of just moves over the top of that. It looks beautiful. So I'm going to wipe that off now. I just love that effect. I just wanted something a little different. So I'm just using a wet paper towel, kitchen towel, and I'm just going to wipe off the ink and the alcohol from the laminated surface. Now you can use, however large, you can use, you know, a large sheet of cardstock, not an issue. And put that over there to the side. I'm going to use my cloth here, my microfiber cloth, and then that's it there. So that's done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my basic grey ink, smoky slate, and I'm going to grab one of my makeup brushes, and I'm just going to ink blend some smoky slate just along the bottom there. So I'll just add some ink, tap off, and I just want to do a light shading down the bottom there. And this is just of basic grey. And then that's it. Really simple. So as I said, this has got many little steps, but I think you can make this card for someone very special, so they will appreciate it. And you kind of make your own fun backgrounds, which makes it fun. So get rid of all clean. And then that's it with this. We do not need this anymore. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the heat tool to go over this because it is a bit wet. And then I'll come back and we'll do some embossing, so bear with me. Oh, I've just finished not heat embossing, but heating this piece of cardstock up, and it looks beautiful. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to grab my Big Shot and we're going to do some embossing. So to start off with, I'm going to be using my Pinewood Planks embossing folder. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of texture along the bottom of that piece of cardstock. So I want it to basically look like a wooden floor or a wooden table. So I'm going to do it, I think, along this way, like so. Or shall I do it like that? Let me think. Actually, I'm going to do it like this, just something different. So I'll put that through. Oops. It'll be best if I didn't move it. Okay, and now we've got that texture along the bottom there, so I think that turned out lovely. And then I'm going to grab my 3D brick and mortar embossing folder. So that's this one over here. And we're going to make the bricks run across. So we'll put this like that. So this is just a double embossing technique here. I'll put that on the edge there just to give me something to work with, and I'll put that like so. So it looks like the brick wall has been coloured behind, like with, you know, sometimes you can see places that have really lovely brick walls and they've got murals on them, or they're just nice plain coloured stuff. So I thought this would be a fun technique to use. So that's that with my embossing folder. I thought that turned out really lovely. And so I'll leave that to the side. So as you can see there, it's got something to ground my little vase that I'll be putting on soon. So with this over here, what I'm going to do is some colouring. And I'm going to be using colours that are similar to these with my watercolour pencils. And now let me think. Yep, I'll be using these and blending them. I'll just bring a piece of paper, I forgot that, to scratch off with. And I've got my blender pen. Oh yeah, and before I do any of that, what I'm going to draw is some stems. I just want straight stems, so I'm just going to use my Old Olive marker. And I'll just make about 2 or 3 of these. I'll make about 3. Just some lines. And this will make it easy. And they don't have to be perfect because they are, after all, stems. And then I'm just going to add just some highlighting lines. So as you can see, that's the stems that I drew, very basic. And then we're going to colour them as well. And they don't have to be perfect, so that's the beauty of this. So we can even go thicker on the sides, and which is what I'm going to do, just make them go thicker. So they look like stems. And I'm not a good drawer, I'm telling you now, I'm terrible at it. All right, so what I have, I'll get a piece of paper and I'll be back in a second. I've got a pencil that's kind of similar to Flirty Flamingo. Not quite, but, you know, it'll do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower you down so you can see my colouring. And basically, I'm just going to colour just on the inside very lightly. Because these are lovely peonies. And I'm going to fussy cut all of these, which I generally don't like doing, but I'm quite happy to do this one. So I've just finished now cutting all of my peonies. Now I'm just going to leave them to the side here, but what I've got here is a piece of transparency. Now I've got a little piece of painter's tape on there just to help me see this, because once this goes on the desk you can't see a thing. So I'm going to grab my layering circles dies and I'm just going to do a quick layout on my card there. Just to see how this will look. So I've got my peonies here, I've got my little stems. They're not overly, you know, precise or anything like that, but it's just to give an idea here. So we'll just have these kind of like that, and I'm going to have like a bouquet of peonies. Anyway, this is just as a rough idea. So I'm just going to work out what circle size this will look good with. So these are the circle dies. I'm just going to have a little think about how to make a round vase. And I actually think that this size is quite good, or I might go a little bit smaller. I think I'll go this size. Yeah, I'll go about this size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. That bit that's gone a bit stupid there, but there's the cut circle. So I'll put that on here. I'll take this away now. Now, to make a round vase, what we're going to do is we're going to snip off a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom. I'm going to use like my mini guillotine because I think it's the perfect size to do this kind of thing. And I think a guillotine works very well. So I'm just going to snip off maybe like, I don't know, and I'll just measure it a little bit here. About 1/8 of an inch off. So about 1/8 of an inch. Snip that off with my guillotine. So it gives you a nice cut across like that. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let's see if we can see that. See that? Snips right across. This could even look good as a fish bowl as well. Now, what I'm going to do with this bit now is I'm going to line up that straight bit here. I'm going to line up that straight bit along here, and I'm going to cut off a similar amount again. And this will be my card, the base of the vase. So I'll make sure like I trim off a similar amount. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but a similar amount. All right, I think that will do it, and I think that looks straight enough. So I'll use the grids here of the trimmer to guide me. And so now, if you can see that, see a little bit there and a little bit there, and you still have a round vase. So that's what I was going for. So, as I said, about 1/8 of an inch off will suffice. And pop that away. And so what I'm going to do with this card now is I'm just going to pop my stems that I've made, my homemade stems, in a way that I like them. And then up the top there, I'm going to add some double-sided tape, but it won't be seen. So I forgot to bring some of that in, so bear with me and I'll be back in a second. Just put my ATG, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to get my non-stick thing here, mat, and I'm just going to add a little bit of double-sided tape just along the top there. And this is just to anchor, if you can see that. And that's just to anchor my pieces of my stems. So this will also give me a little bit of wiggle room too. And then I'll do that like that. So then this way, it's a little bit forgiving there. So what I'll do is I'll actually stick this down with some glue. Stick that over the top there. Looking good. Then I'm going to add the vase just on there because it's going to be grounded there. And I'm just going to have a feel for how I want this to look. So I'm going to add my peonies. What I'm going to do, guys, off camera, is I'm going to stamp another peony and colour it off camera, and then I'll be back, okay? And that will be finished, so you don't have to watch that whole rim roll again, and then we're settled, all right? So I've just finished stamping and cutting another peony, but what I've decided to do, instead of colouring it in, is I'm going to actually put it to the front of this arrangement here, just so it looks like it's a lot more striking, and I think that adds, like, you know, a different colour, and I quite like it. So I'm going to pop these up here with some glue. How this has turned out. So it's quite different. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to add partial dimensionals there. So I'm just going to cut some up there and there. So I've just finished now popping this up on some dimensionals, see that at the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer this down in the middle here. And I'm going to make the bottom of the vase go over here on the bottom part there. And that's my finished card for today. There you go. So you can see the glass vase and some nice purple peonies. You can add your sentiment down here, which is what I will probably do at a later date. For the inside of the card, I think I will stamp a peony as well. So I'll just grab my Stamparitis and we'll do that as well. So I'll put that away. So all of the products you've seen today can be purchased through my online store at peppelyrosepapercrafting.stampinup.net if you're interested in purchasing from me. I would really appreciate your business. And yeah, it's available right now in the annual catalogue if you're interested. So you don't necessarily have to have the dies with this. You can just use your scissors as well and cut these images out, or another machine, whatever you like. So yeah, I'm just showing you a way that if you can't afford basically the bundle, which is over $100, you can just buy the stamp set, and then you can buy the dies at a later time as well and just spread out your costs that way as well. That's my tip to you as well, or just buy the bundle and save 10%. So I thought it would be nice to stamp, you know, with a bit of the leaf as well. So that's all done. So I hope you liked today's tutorial, just a little something different, and this is inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest, which, yeah, it just showed a picture of some, I think they were purple peonies with just a couple of pink ones. They were a little too dark for me, so I thought, oh, forget that, I'll just do purple and keep it monochromatic. But I really love the way this has turned out. So as you can see, it's got that glass looking vase, and it's round. In real life you can see it more than you can on camera, but I'm trying to show you with angles. So that's how it looks on this side, and I really love the background using the rubbing alcohol over the top of that, and you can create beautiful backgrounds. Although it got mostly covered up, that's okay. It just makes a nice difference. And as you can see here, look at this, the purple pose is over the blue. So that's one good thing about alcohol markers is that you can add some really interesting looks. So I hope you liked today's tutorial. If you've got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment below and ask me anything you'd like, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If you'd like to contact me privately, you may also do so through my online store at peppelyrosepapercrafting.stampinup.net, and you can privately message me through there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I'll see you again next time. Bye! Everyone, I'm back. Okay, so upon finishing my video, I decided that what would look really cool as well is if I add a little bit of vellum underneath that looking glass, so it just brings that out a little bit more, because it kind of gets lost here. Like you wouldn't see it properly, you just see this just a shiny thing and it doesn't mean anything. So what I'll do with this vellum is I'm going to cut the same size with that framelit. So that's this one over here. I'll bring out my Big Shot and cut that up. I can actually pull this off quite easily. And I know this will kind of destroy things a little bit, not a lot. Is I'm going to pop this over the top and use this as my anchoring point to stick the vellum on. So I'll just use just regular liquid glue because I don't want it to stick on the actual show marks. So I'm just going to put it over the top. So this is how you would fix it. So just hold it there for a minute. And I'm actually going to leave that there. And what I'm going to do is just trim the bottom one here. So just make sure that's all lined up. And then, voila. There's the bottom of my vase. And then I'm going to stick this over the top like that. And stick that down with some glue. It'll actually secure better with the vellum as well, so I'll just line everything back up again. Whoops. And now you can really tell that it's glass, and that just looks a lot better. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry I had to come back again, but I thought it'd be cool to show you how to fix it as well. So this is now all lined up and it's all nice, and I really like that you can see the glass a bit more, so it looks like a frosted glass vase. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. So I'm back yet again. Sorry, this is terrible. But upon looking at this, I really did not like this bottom half of the card. It's funny that when you're doing the card, you think, oh yeah, this is going to turn out great. And then you look back on it a few minutes later and you're like, yuck, I really don't like this part here. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock again. And this is about 1 inch in height. And then I cut it so that it is going to fit perfectly along the bottom. I'm going to redo this yet again because I really don't like that look at all. It just looks really harsh and it just doesn't look like it's right considering the rest of it is so subtle and beautiful. So what I'm going to do is this stamp set has this beautiful, like really what can I say, a really subtle pattern right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp that all over that there to make like a tablecloth. Okay, so I've just finished stamping all of this. Let's hope this has turned out, because sometimes what I think in my head and how it works out on paper are very different. So we'll see how this turns out, and if it looks nice we'll keep it, if not then I'll get rid of it. I don't like that either. Oh dear. So what I'll do is I'll cut another piece and trim that off. And I might just leave it blank underneath there. Just thinking. Just thinking. What I'll do, I think, yeah, is I'll cut another piece. So I'll just use my guillotine, cut to about 1 inch. I'll use that to trim off what I don't need. I find it hard to measure the little measurements with this trimmer. So I'll just cut that off there. And what I'll do with that, I think, is just grab my embossing folder, the Pinewood plank ones again. And this time I'm just going to do it across rather than like that. So I'll just do it like so up here. So it's going to be between two planks. Oops. Yeah, like that. And I think that will turn out much nicer for me. So, prefer this. I think that will look a lot better. So what I'm going to do is just stick this down with some glue. Yep, this does it for me now. That looks much better for me. Much more subtle, much better. So this is it now. You will not see any more popping up afterwards to annoy you. I don't know. I just had I don't know. It's just one of those days where I just don't think straight. And then I think afterwards and I go, oh, that will look better. So this is my creative, crazy process. I hope you like it. This is a little bit... So that here is extra. So I'm going to trim that off with my scissors very, very quickly. See, that's the bad part of doing this after you've stuck this down. And that doesn't look straight either. So let's do this again. Okay, that's the best I can do, and I think that adds a nice touch. There we go. Let me know your thoughts. Which way do you prefer it? The way I did it before or now? And yeah, I really like the little changes I've made. I like that I put the vellum behind the glass looking, you know, the glass there. It will be loose because if you put adhesive on there you can see it, but I think that turned out lovely. Anyway, I like that, and I prefer this bottom part here. I think it looks much better. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you again next time. Okay, I'm back yet again, and hopefully this is the last time. Okay, so what's happened is this. That looks really just stuck. So what I've decided to do is I've got some interior decorator masking tape. This comes off pretty easily, and it's got a pretty low tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to protect the rest of my work here. And, excuse me, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink blend a little teeny tiny amount of smoky slate. Grab one of my teeny tiny blending brushes. This is a really small one. And because it's small, it can be a little bit more concentrated. So I'm just going to tap off quite a bit, and I'll just go on the sides like that. Just so it doesn't look so stark. Like that. And then I'll do that here too. Oops. Off again, there. A little bit more, and let's see how that's turned out. Yep. I think now that is it. That looks a lot better. Let me know your thoughts. You must think I have gone completely mad, but I think that this has turned out a lot better. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.